The following is a presentation of the Best Station. The views and comments made in the following program do not necessarily represent the views and comments of the Best Station.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fast Pitch Game 20. I'm your co-host, MC Brown.
I'm Eric Lenneberg.
And the Doctor of Baseball is here. How are you doing this fine show today?
Well, I'm doing wonderful, thank you.
All right, and we want to thank you all for listening. Thank you for joining us at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, Facebook.com/TheFastPitch, both places where we can be reached, under the umbrella of www.thebeststation.net. All of our shows are archived courtesy of the one and only good personal friend of ours,
Craig Best.
Mr. Best can also be reached on Facebook.com/TheBestStation, where you can personally message Craig and thank him. As always, he gives us a great bridges the gaps between many of our station breaks, and Craig is right on top of everything, and we appreciate his help.
Yes, we do.
And without so, we would not be here. So we want to thank Craig, thank all of you for listening. And Doctor, we had heated topics of discussion online as well, on specifically our Facebook page, which we're linked to it, I should say, on your page specifically, which fans like to just jump on there. And we had some great feedback this past week.
Yes, we did. A hot topic: the Ross Stripling pitch count, lost his no-hitter, and people who listen to the show, we had a lot of them join in that conversation. People like Chuck Johnson, who is a big sabermetrics person, and yet he commented that sabermetrics may ruin baseball down the road.
Yeah, I did read that as well. A lot of good stuff. We had some great insight from Ann Lenneberg.
Yes, Ann Lenneberg.
Type of relation there?
Well, as a matter of fact, that's my favorite niece.
All right, that's pretty cool. So, we had just a lot of good stuff. Chuck Boyer chiming in as he usually does. A lot of good stuff from Chuck, and we're in the third week of the season, so we've got a lot of great feedback as well. As always, you can reach us at any of those spots. Specific questions, the message, we do request that you go to the Facebook.com/TheFastPitch page and also message us there. But if the doctor gets certain select messages, he will read them on the show. But I'm telling you, if you're going to keep doing that, he is literally flooded with messages,
and
nobody is more popular than him.
I appreciate it, but I prefer you go to the Fast Pitch page. Some of the people who give me feedback are not on Facebook, so obviously I have to read those when they're
These are from
cogent.
a elite inner circle Illuminati of baseball that sends you these messages that we will read on here, although otherwise the doctor will disappear. So we have a lot of good stuff, Doc. So why don't you get into the first one, and I'll
okay. This is
between
Corey Seward of Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay,
and Corey was a winner of our Fast Pitch Feud a couple weeks ago.
Yes, he was.
He asks about the Diamondbacks. Should they continue with Peralta hitting cleanup, or should they trade for an established hitter? Now, I don't want to go too heavy into the Diamondbacks. We have a lot of Arizona Diamondback fans.
That's true. We need to address this for fans there. Like Peralta, are you familiar with what is he hitting right now?
He's hitting about 300, which is good, and he'll hit 300 over the course of the year, but he is not enough of a threat to protect Paul Goldschmidt in the lineup.
You've mentioned this to me off the air.
Yeah, Goldschmidt will walk 200 times this year. I believe they do need to go out and trade for an established hitter and not wait until the deadline. They need to do it now. They just swept.
Who's available now, though? I mean, to throw this question out to you. I mean, who do you think is already out of the race that would be trading?
Well,
Reds had a good start, actually.
Reds had a good start. The Atlanta Braves are already 7 games out of first place.
That's probably
so. Someone like Freddie Freeman's a first baseman, but
get Freddie for Nick Markakis. Maybe
Nick Markakis,
he's off to a hot start.
He is, and he'd be a good cleanup hitter for the Diamondbacks. Plus, he can play one of the outfield positions while A.J. Pollock is recovering.
Yeah, I don't know if he's got the power per se, but he is actually turning it up right now.
He is, and they're not going to pitch around Goldschmidt to get to Markakis.
Yeah.
Yasmani Tomas has gotten hot ever since we blasted him last week And
we blast them, or we just addressed how long they would wait for.
The question from one of our listeners: how much rope will they give him before they replace him? He's gotten hot, and maybe he will be the answer, but I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's up in the open. I mean, it depends. I mean, how many games back are the Diamondbacks now?
They're only a game and a half out. They
I
swept
don't
the
know.
Giants.
It's probably too soon to maybe pull the trigger on a trade because you're going to probably overpay for somebody at this point.
Possibly.
I don't see that happening.
Diamondbacks were looking not too sharp, and then they swept the Giants in San Francisco.
Which is no easy feat because the Giants are actually off to a pretty good start,
Yes,
too.
they are. And that's only happened twice. Twice that they've been swept 4 games. Greinke came around his last start, got the win. He looked sharp.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think this is going to happen. What's the listener? Is this Danny?
This is Corey Seward.
This is Corey Seward. Yeah, sorry, Corey. I would say not yet. I would think you'd probably have to give it at least, maybe another month before you see any type of deal. If that's a desperation deal, then at that point, I would say.
And it depends on where they are in the standings.
Yeah, I don't think they need to do anything right now. It's too early.
Yeah.
They turned it around, like you said. So I think, that's the key right now. I got a great question from this Twitter message, direct message from @WinningUgly1908. And this person asks, I'd like to get both of your thoughts on unwritten rules of baseball, specifically with last show's thoughts on no-hitters. Would you bunt to prevent a no-hitter / try to win? What are your thoughts, Doctor?
I've seen players bunt to try to break up a no-hitter.
A bit bush league if it's the game is well underhand, but if you're still trying to win a one-run game, I don't know. I mean, we'll get you hit next time you probably come to the plate.
Right, I guess, I can see that if it's a one-run game. But I agree with you. It's a bush league move. If the game is out of hand in 7th, 8th inning,
I think you're gonna get yourself beamed probably for sure,
or one of your teammates.
But let's ask you just point blank, 0-0 game. Let's just say let's set that table for you. Okay. You're leading off the inning, the manager and you're the leadoff hitter, and you got the speed. Let's say, and a situation presents itself. The third baseman's back or first baseman. What would you bunt? As a former hitter yourself, a former player, but I'd say that maybe, I'm assuming you had speed back in the day.
Yeah, at one point when I was a teenager.
Would you bunt if asked?
I personally would not.
Yeah.
Although I could see where you got a fast base runner, a speedy hitter, and like you said, third baseman playing back. I could see a manager giving a bunt sign. And
let me turn you into the Whitey Herzog or something, and you have Billy Hamilton at your disposal. Would you have him bunt 0-0 game, no hitter?
I'd have to.
Top and bottom of the ninth.
Because you're trying to win the game.
Yeah. So I mean, that in some cases, bunting to some players, especially the team that's pitching no hitter, complete. No.
Yes.
If unwritten rule, you don't even do that. But in a 1-0 game, would you even do it?
I personally wouldn't, but I could see managers of today doing that.
Yeah.
In the old days, like we've talked about old school versus new school, that would not have happened.
Yeah. I don't like to see it per se, but if you're trying to win the game, you also can't fault. I've seen it. I mean, I can't pull a situation off the top of my head, but I know it's happened in our lifetime for sure.
Yeah, Kurt Schilling was pitching a no-hitter against the Padres, and Ben Davis laid down a bunt. Now, he was out, but he tried to bunt. And
they were furious with him.
Yeah, Schilling was very, very upset.
Yeah, and that there's a lot of unwritten rules, and we probably can do a middle of the show on just unwritten rules, winning ugly. But it just depends on the situation. Like you could bunt to trying to win the game, or you're bunting to be a jerk in a bush league, like try to get somebody who's playing back. Yeah, that's. You're probably going to get what you deserve, I would say.
Yes, I agree.
But like I said, if we could go into a whole thing on unwritten rules, and if fans want to hear it, let us know.
Let us know, absolutely.
Great question. We'd love to address more.
Okay, and I've got our great listener, Jim Nout from Chandler, Arizona.
Okay.
And Jim is addressing the batting coaches, and specifically Barry Bonds. Is it difficult for former star hitters like Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, to relate to the average player? McGwire had some marginal success with the Dodgers. What do you guys think Bonds will do with Miami? And can he relate to the average player?
I find it, like, to be completely honest, they don't need to do this. So they probably have more money and whatever stuff to do it. They obviously love the game, Bonds and McGwire. And, I'm kind of surprised that they are hitting coaches because it's kind of shocking to believe that they have the desire to do it. It's cool. In a way, I know some people don't like it because of the stigma around both players. But, I would imagine that baseball has changed enough. I mean, this is, but they certainly are great hitters. I don't. You can
Yes.
take anything. I'm not going to take anything away from them. You still got to have hand-eye coordination to hit a baseball. I
That's
don't care
right.
how many things you're charged with taking over the course of your career or suspensions or whatever. You need to be able to put that ball on that.
Yes,
Excuse me,
it
that
is,
bat on that ball, and that is not easy to do.
And Jim's question, can these guys relate to the average player? I don't know, because some of the greatest hitting coaches that we've seen over the years were average players.
Let me
Mickey
ask.
Hatcher, Milt Thompson.
Let me ask you this, just maybe from your pulse might be more on some of the players with your interviews in MLB radio. Do you believe that the players would show them the respect that they would deserve as hitters, or do you think some of them might be thinking in the back of their head of the negative publicity of?
I think
at
they
the
would
end
show
of
them the
careers?
respect.
Yeah, I hope.
Yes.
I would hope so. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, they're still their hitting coaches. If you're not going to respect your coaches, then you probably don't belong in,
That's
in
right.
the game.
That's
you know?
right.
But yeah, that might be at the back of their mind. I don't know. I mean,
Right.
relating to them, they certainly, it's been a few years since they were in their primes, obviously.
Right.
But they're not that far removed where I don't think, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still making contact.
Right.
And I think that still could be taught. That's still, those good habits that they had as players could still be taught, hopefully, to the younger
Yes.
generation. I don't see a problem with them relating.
I'm not sure. The jury's out on Bonds. We'll see how the Marlins do under him if they improve.
Yeah, we'd have to check the stat. We'd have to see how both teams are hitting.
Right.
I think both teams, and McGuire's the hitting coach
Padres.
of the Padres. Yeah, the Padres actually, they've had a couple games where they've hit pretty good, but I think their manager had joked that they actually turned it on when he got ejected in the
Yes,
game. I think
Andy
a few
Green,
days.
yes.
Andy Green. He joked they must have been listening to McGuire when they started hitting home runs as soon as he was ejected, which was pretty funny. Yeah, I think both teams are still they're not hitting. I think they're hitting well enough where you could certainly say that their influence might be there. It's just like you said. I think it's still early. I think
Right,
it's
and we'll see over the long haul of the season, over the grind, how they do.
definitely something to revisit. I think
Right.
to see how these teams hit. I have a great question here from at Ballyhoo 1010 A-Ball. And they say, thanks for the baseball post, specifically the April 18th, 1981 33-inning AAA game. And there was anniversary on April 13th.
Yes.
Or, 18th. He said, this person says, loved reading that. Look forward to more of those posts on the page. And, yes, thanks, Ballyhoo. We actually posted Rules of Baseball quiz. We posted a couple nice links to, obviously, that 33-inning game. Unbelievable. That was
Yes.
posted, actually, by Tim Haggerty on it's a big plug for @Miners team names.
Yes.
And he had posted that, and that was something we shared. That is an amazing story for anybody that wants to read that. It's on our Facebook page. 33-inning game. That is a record in professional baseball, and that was in AAA baseball. A lot of great names in that, too. Definitely
Yes.
Wade Boggs, so many great names if you go back at that all the way back in 1981. So it's like
81, what a 33 in a
you imagine
game.
over the course of 2 days this game took place, and just the team took the lead in the 21st. I think it was Boggs who said that some people were angry with him for tying it in the bottom of the 21st. And
Yes.
this was it's just a great story. And yeah, if anything like that, if you have suggestions or anything, please send us a message at facebook.com/thefastpitch. We'd be happy to share it and hopefully get some nice comments.
Yes,
on it.
mentioning
It's a great
Tim
story.
Haggerty, a former guest of ours.
Yes.
Always look for his stories in the sporting news. He has some great,
Yes.
funny stories and insightful stories.
Yes, definitely. I want to thank Tim for that. Us being able to have access to see some of those great
Right.
posts. And yes, we'll definitely try to keep doing that and hopefully get some more interaction, good or bad, depending on controversial topics from all you fans and listeners. Thank
Yes. I've got one more feedback.
Okay.
From Danny D, our listener
D.
in Las Vegas. Danny D's
you. Salary
back.
man.
Yes. Okay, and Danny says, isn't it time for Major League Baseball to put protective netting all the way down the first and third base lines?
Interesting.
Right, and this will segue into one of our hot topics.
Yeah,
today,
I
so
think
we'll address it
it's just
there.
because the time constraints may not allow us to talk about it right there. That was something we were going to discuss later, and
Right.
it's just more stuff on netting. So Danny D will be sure to revisit that. Stay tuned after our first station break, Danny D, and that will be something we
Right, and
will
let me
address.
mention Danny D, a great listener, and every week that he has feedback, it's always a very, very topical question.
It is, yeah. We thank Danny for that. Yeah, we definitely will discuss that further. We did a lot last show as well, and the doctor has some specific thoughts, and he's got an example for all of
Yes.
us too that he will let us know later on in the show.
Yes.
Is that all you got for the?
That's all I got for feedback. Let me do one thing, because people are sitting on the edge of their seat for this. The Scott Kazmir
All
Watch.
right, 3 weeks in, 3 starts.
3 weeks in. Scott hasn't won since his first start. He is up to 6.63 earned run average. He's given up 5 home runs in 4 starts and 14 earned runs in 19 innings.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing more at this Casimir girl, conspicuous by her absence.
Yes. And
she was quick. She was one of our first messages the first show of the season after he did that, and I've heard nothing from her now.
No, of course not, because Scott has reverted to Scott Casimir career form.
And you have dropped him in the fast pitch
Yes,
fantasy league as well?
Absolutely.
Yes.
One of our players in the fantasy league called me in shock when he saw that I had picked him up that first week.
Yeah, well, you're trying to jump on the bandwagon of him when he was really good, but you quickly disposed.
Seriously, the Dodgers have got to make a move there. They gave him a lot of money, but they cannot let this go on.
Yeah, Maeda, I think, has been a pleasant surprise. Good
Maeda's
start
been a
for them
plus,
too. Ross
and
Stripling,
Ross
obviously.
Stripling, yeah.
But I don't know how long you could stick with Casimir if he's going to keep doing starts like that.
No, he may go to the pen or be a long reliever, but they've got to make a change.
Yeah, that's something, again, depends on desperation, depends on where they are in the standings, especially as we get close into the season and near the trade deadline. You don't want to fall too far behind.
Right.
But a lot of great feedback, as always, at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, Facebook.com/the Fast Pitch. Let us know right on the Fast Pitch. Send us some messages. The doctor cannot read every single one when you dump loads of feedback to him. He will
33 messages.
He will cherry pick them, and I will repeat that. So make sure you let the Fast Pitch page know, and I'll personally see that everything gets slid into its proper.
Of course you will.
Of course I will. So I want to thank all the listeners for that. We're going to get into one of our great segments here, Doctor, as we get it rolling into the show. And you know which one that is?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I believe it's the
Fast
Pitch
Pitch
Feud.
And it's going to be some good stuff here, so we're going to head to it now.
Right, here we go.
Yes.
The Fast Pitch Feud is up and running.
That takes you back, all the way back when you were born, wasn't it, Doctor?
Yeah, in 1980 or so, yes.
1880. Okay, so the Fast Pitch Feud, we got some great stuff here. We had a few entries from great listeners. Chuck Boyer, new one from Ann Lenneberg, which is really cool.
That's
There's no
right.
rules preventing family members, but she is, far removed from any.
I had
access
no
to this.
idea how astute she was.
Yeah.
We should have her as an analyst, a guest analyst. But of
knows
course,
nothing from the doctor because
I was just going to say she's got the Lenneberg DNA, so she's very astute.
So, and Zachary L. So, Zach, another great listener as well. So, we welcome Ann into this. So, we had 3 great questions. The first of which, name a baseball stadium with a
Retractable
roof.
dome, yes.
Number 2 was past or present, name a player on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Number 3 was name a position, name a spot in the batting order.
Spot in the batting order. That's a good one, too.
So, so the great thing is in there, and it's just like the Fast Pitch Money Round of Family Feud for new listeners. So, basically, we had all of our listener entries. Chuck, Ann, and Zach guessed Chase Field. The number 1 answer was, of course, Chase Field. Each of them received 8 points for that. That was easily the number 1 answer. Nothing else with enough points even come close.
Right.
Number 2, we had name player, past or present, Arizona Diamondbacks. Chuck, this is where we get a little bit different. The great Chuck Boyer said Gonzo, Luis Gonzalez. Ann and Zach said Randy Johnson. The number 1 answer was indeed Gonzo. We had various answers, too.
We did, although I'm surprised we didn't have an answer like, somebody like, Robbie Hammock, big name catcher.
We had Brandon Webb.
Brandon Webb, a name out of the past.
Yeah, Webby was on there. Number 2...
Jeff Supan didn't get any
Jeff
guesses
Supan
either.
did
Wow.
not. Tied for second place was Goldie, Paul Goldschmidt, and Randy Johnson, who didn't get that many votes as probably people had expected, but he's got a kind of a bad reputation.
Yes, he does. Yes,
doesn't surprise me. So, puts Chuck in the lead as we go into the third question. We have name a spot in the batting order 1 through 9. And Chuck said... Chuck's answer...
it was either 1 through 9, Chuck had.
Chuck make sure that he received the same points. So, okay, Chuck had, I believe, leadoff.
Leadoff, okay.
And he received, there was actually a tie. I should say this. There's a tie for number 1 answers, and that's leadoff in 4th. So Chuck and Zach all either said leadoff or, so I don't want to misquote Chuck. Zach had fourth cleanup. I believe Ann had cleanup. And then Chuck, I believe, said leadoff. If I had Ann and Chuck switch, they all receive 4 points.
Yes, I wonder, did anyone say anything other than leadoff and cleanup?
Yeah, it's funny. We had some of the surveys. Ninth was actually
ninth. Wow,
and that,
wow.
And that person said because they always bet at ninth. That was pretty funny. Second place after that was just the number 3 spot in the batting order. So it was basically between leadoff and cleanup.
Right.
So tallying them all up, 14 for Zach, 14 for Ann. The winner is Chuck with 17, so he breaks his losing streak.
Yes, Chuck is back.
Is the winner, and he wins.
Chuck will win a special prize. I'm going to surprise him with it when I'm going to see him at a Diamondbacks game in 2 weeks.
A hug from the doctor of baseball.
Oh, always for Chuck.
So, yes, Chuck, we have a great prize lined up for you. The doctor will surprise you. We will say what it is, or Chuck.
Chuck, I can tell you right now, it is a photo of somebody sitting in this room, maybe both people, and it will be autographed for you.
Oh, no, Chuck is probably hurling now. His disdain for us is noted. Okay, so for our next show, just on and Chuck obviously can give one question for the following show. We never got it from our last. Who was the last one?
Oh, Corey Seward, yes.
Corey, please give us a question. We will be happy to add it to our next one. But, Chuck, you're on the clock for a question as well. One question, Chuck, whatever comes to your mind that's usable.
Right, something relevant.
And we will use it on the Fast Pitch. So we got 3 great new ones before we head to our station break, Doctor, to wrap up Fast Pitch Feud. The first one is, this is for all you listeners, name a stadium you haven't visited but would like to before you die.
Good question.
Yes.
Good question.
Number 2, name a player on the San Diego Padres, past or present.
Past or present.
May tie into a future prize with this one.
Yes.
And finally, if you could spend the most money on only one of these 3 items, which one would you? A bat, a baseball glove, fielding glove, or cleats?
That is a really good question.
All your money into. We want to hear from you.
All 3 of those.
Guess what the fans... most fans would say. That's your goal here. We do the surveying, you give us the answers, and please do that on our Fast Pitch page. We'll do a reminder right before we do recordings, and hopefully that'll
And that third question, wow, any one of those 3.
Any one of those, what are you going to invest in?
Right,
As a hitter, fielder, just anything like that. So we want to hear from you fans. Give us your entries, and you may win, just like our great Chuck Boyer here. So, right before our station break, we got another great segment, Doctor.
Who am I?
Who am I? And we're going to get right into it because we have Craig Best pounding on the door for a station break. So here it is, Doctor, our great Who Am I segment. Here it is. I share the most All-Star games played, 24, with Hank Aaron and Stan the Man Musial.
24 All-Star games.
24, insane. I also share the most Gold Gloves, 12, as a position player. That is also amazing.
Wow.
And this is the last one, 3. Wesley Snipes once played a spoof character of me in the movie Major Leagues.
Oh, okay.
Who am I? And we want to hear, obviously we wish we were live where you can hear from you guys guessing, but guess to yourselves and stay tuned because we'll give you the answer.
You're right back. And speaking of going live, that is coming soon.
Right now.
The Fast Pitch will return in just 1 moment.
Thanks for the rebate, Joe.
You're welcome. And now when you buy a Mr. Coffee, I'll send you a $5 rebate check, too, with my signature. Because I know you're going to love the delicious way Mr. Coffee brews. The Tuesday Bridge Club sure does.
Never knew coffee could taste so great. Or brew so fast.
Buy one of these Mr. Coffees now and get your $5 rebate from America's favorite coffee maker.
Baseball fans, are you questioning the concept of pitch counts? A new book by Dodgers general manager Farid Zaidi explains the wisdom of holding pitchers to 100 pitches a game. Zaidi proposed using 9 pitchers per game with a 20-pitch limit. Written while he was a student at MIT, No More No-Hitters is available now at bookstores nationwide.
Shaper is the one pill to have when you have more than one. Shaper, pressure doesn't fade even when your thirst is done. The most rewarding flavor in this man's world. For people who are having fun. Yes, shaver is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
With a thirst like this, Louis good for more than one beer. That's why this is the thirst for Schaefer.
Yes, shaver is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. Yes.
And we are back here on the Fast Pitch Game 20. You can't wait to buy that book, will you?
I will distribute it to all my friends.
I think it was just an excuse to say the Dodgers general manager's name for the first time.
Well, and here's again, went to MIT, and it said on his Wikipedia page, he read the book Moneyball, and it changed his life.
Oh, wow. Speaking of life-changing, we have our Who Am I reveal, Doctor, and that is none other than, if you were paying attention to the clues, hopefully you would have had any idea that it was this great Hall of Famer, Willie Mays.
Oh, my goodness.
Willie Mays.
One of the all-time greats. I loved watching him play.
One of my favorite players as well. And listen to these credentials here, and we don't need to build them up, but we're going to. 24-time All-Star consecutively from 1954 to 1973.
That's unbelievable.
Any possible All-Star game he could have been voted in, he was there, basically.
You know what, now that you mentioned that, I remember him hitting a home run, and I believe it won an All-Star game late in his career, 72 or 73.
That's just crazy. He's also World Series champion 1954. Two-time NL MVP 1954, of course, and 1965. NL Rookie of the Year, which, of course, if he's an All-Star, 1951. 12-time, as we said, Gold Glover consecutively from 1957 to 1968.
Amazing.
Just, that is incredible. But we all know his incredible skills out there manning center field.
That the clip of him catching the ball off Vic Wertz's bat in the World Series is still run over and over today. He caught that over his shoulder, turned around, and threw all the way into second base.
That's just, you got to have a cannon for an arm. One of the first ever, 5-tool players, basically.
Yes, and you mentioned that great 1954 season he had. I think a lot of people don't realize he was coming off of 2 years in military service.
Yeah.
So it was really his first year back, and he really went nuts that year.
Yeah, that's crazy. As you had mentioned, he was MVP of the All-Star Game 2 times, 1963, 1968. So that home run, as you said, definitely won one of those. Roberto Clemente Award, 1971. NL Batting Champion, 1954. 4-time NL Home Run Leader, 1955, 1962, 64, and 65. Man, it's just incredible stats.
For the longest time, people thought Willie Mays would be the one to break Babe Ruth's all-time home run record of 714.
And he was on his way there. Also, 4-time NL Stolen Base Leader from seasons 56 through 59.
Yeah, and that was
That's
before
incredible.
the stolen base was such a big tool. And, man, he stole a lot of bases and hit home runs.
Get this, he hit 4 home runs in one game on April 30th, 1961. So we're almost at the anniversary of that.
Yes, we are.
That was, we're looking at...
very few guys have hit 4 home runs in a game. Very few.
Yeah, so it's like...
the last one to do was Sean Green of the Dodgers in, I believe, 2002.
55 years ago, coming on the anniversary of that. That's insane.
Yes.
San Francisco Giants, number 24, of course, is retired. He's also, to wrap this up, on a Major League Baseball All-Century team, Major League Baseball All-Time team. And it's telling you, all the players that have played in this game, we are talking about one of the greatest
One of
all
the
time.
greatest. I'll throw a little thing in here. Yeah. He is also the godfather of Barry Bonds.
Indeed. And, we can't say enough great things about Willie Mays.
Right.
Definitely one of our favorites of all time here on the Fast Pitch. We're going to race right in here, Doctor, with hot topics around the diamond combined. We got some big news in the game, just to speak of it. We're going to get right into it. We had a no-hitter already. Jake Arrieta second no-hitter, I believe, in half a season, right?
Yes, and August 30th of last year he threw one. And I must say, I am a believer now in Jake Arrieta.
I would say you were not necessarily singing his virtues as the Cy Young, but I think it's hard to argue with this type of stretch he's had.
Yes, it is, and he is totally dominant. I've watched him pitch 3 times this year, MC. I don't know if you've seen him pitch, but totally dominant.
Of course.
And, a lot of people give credit to the pitching coach, Cubs, Chris Bosio, but Arrieta's had the talent all along, and he's hitting his stride.
20-1 with a .86 ERA, which is only 17 earned runs and 178 innings. That is unbelievable. With 33 walks and 173 strikeouts in his last 24 starts since June 21st.
I don't know that that's ever been accomplished by anyone.
It's the best 24-start stretch in Cubs history for sure, and
maybe Major League Baseball
maybe the
history.
best stretch in baseball history. We were quoting the Cubs beat writer Carrie Muskrat on some of the stuff. She says baseball historian Ed Hartig points out some facts during the Arrieta streak. He's the first pitcher in franchise history to win 20 games in a 24 stretch, as we said, passing 19 wins turned in by Rick Sutcliffe during that historic stretch in 1985.
1985, yes.
Arrieta's also given up 91 hits in that stretch, better than the previous low of 92 in 24 starts by Dick Drott. And just some of these other stats are just, taking a peek at. He became the first Cubs starting pitcher to win his first 4 starts since Greg Maddux in 2006. That's pretty elite company. And that was even Greg Maddux later in his career. He's also the 5th defending Cy Young Award winner to win his first 4 starts of the following season, joining Tim Lincecum, Randy Johnson, and Pedro Martinez.
I might add, Sports Illustrated 2 weeks ago did a great article on Arrieta, and you learn a lot about him personally. What a really good guy. He is beloved by his teammates and everyone he's crossed paths with in baseball.
The Cubs, I've read stuff from Jed Hoyer recently, was just saying he has exceeded, not just as a player, but the quality person that they believe they were getting when they did their homework on him, and they're very happy with this. And this would definitely say probably one of the best Cubs trades in history. They sent Scott Feldman to the Orioles, and basically they were trying to get power arms. Right. They received also Pedro Strop in that deal, and the Cubs got, I think, an international signing slot as well. And this was because Buck Showalter was getting desperate. He needed a starting pitcher.
Right, and Arrieta struggled with the Orioles, even though he had the talent, and I believe it comes down to the pitching coach. Bosio turned him around.
He was in Triple-A at the time of the Cubs made that deal. And wow. Just unbelievable.
In that Sports Illustrated story, it talks about he had great success in college. Orioles changed his delivery, changed his style. When he got back to the Cubs, Chris Bosio had film of him in college and said, let's go back to what made you successful.
Yes, that's just...
and that's the kind of effect a good pitching coach can have.
We talked about it last show, just an incredible pitching coach in Chris Bosio, and then these are the things that helped Jake Arrieta reach these milestones he's at now, and could we be seeing, and this also ties into Hot Topics, could we be possibly seeing one of the best Cubs teams of all time here? They're off to a great stretch.
Oh, boy.
Lost a big bat in Kyle Schwarber, but they don't seem to have skipped a beat.
They haven't skipped a beat, and we talked about this off air. They have a solid lineup 1 through 9, especially when Arrieta's batting.
Yeah.
Everyone is a threat. Every one of them.
That was a shellacking. That no way that Jake or probably most of that team would have been at 16-0 shellacking.
16-0, yeah.
But they had to. They, the defense and the milestone of, there was no pulling Jake Arrieta in this start.
No, and also if you saw the game, anyone who saw it, no one came close to a hit.
No.
It wasn't like there was a great game, no-hitter saving play by anyone.
He hit the Reds, just to make sure we said that. Unfortunately, the Reds struggling. Now, they were off to a pretty good start, but now they're reverting back to what everyone would thought. Yes. Something of note, just to wrap this one up, just Joe Maddon himself said he's not going to interfere with baseball history, so it's good to see a manager like that, like Joe Maddon. That's like, hey, I would imagine if Ross Stripling was pitching for Joe Maddon, that
he would have been left in to get his no-hitter. And I saw Maddon's comments, too. Maddon said he doesn't believe in the pitch count requirement.
Hard to argue with a successful manager in baseball.
Yes.
Joe Maddon, one of the best, if not the best managers. Look at what he did with the Tampa Rays, but look at the architect here in Chicago of keeping the team loose with all this pressure, because you don't hear as much as you do about this Cubs pressure, because Joe Maddon is the type of manager that keeps the guys loose, and I think he's keeping them focused, and I think that's
managing young players, and the Cubs have a lot of young players. Maddon is very skilled at young players, like in Tampa Bay. What he accomplished.
Just an incredible manager, and the Cubs, I don't think, could have a better captain, leading this ship right now.
No, definitely.
Some other big news. We had Chris Colabello suspended. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Chris Colabello suspended without pay for 80 games for testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs. And I can't stress this enough. Today's players, from some of the ones I've talked to, do not have great respect for the steroid era. Now, these are younger players who were maybe teenagers when that was all happening. But for a player to do this today, they put so much at risk. The Mets pitcher was banned for life.
Yeah.
Banned for life. Colabello now, if he gets caught again, he's going to be out for, I guess, a season. A third time, he's gone for life, too. Why would you take that
Why
chance?
would you risk that? You're one of the elite players, as you often said here on
Right.
the Fast Pitch. One of
700
elite
people in the world
700 that could do this game. And, he was at one point in time, the main first base option, obviously, for the Blue Jays.
That's
he was
right.
going to be platooning, I think, or just he had an inside shot, I should say, to be that starting first baseman for
Yes.
this team all year. A great Blue Jays team that has a chance. They got, if you look at them, much like the Cubs, stacked lineup.
Yes.
Maybe their pitching could use
They could use a shot in the arm there.
maybe in the starting pitching, but they got young players there too.
Yes,
but
but-
they're established major league lineup, and why would you throw it away?
And Colabello, if you remember when he came up with the Twins, he was a solid player. He's talented. He's with the Blue Jays now.
Yeah,
he did that without steroids or without PEDs. Why now?
Yeah, disappointing here, definitely. 80 games, a lot of games, Doctor.
The games, and if he was a key member of the Blue Jays, he would hurt his own teammates
Hurt
too.
his own team for sure, without question. Yeah, that's sad. But you can't do these things.
No.
This is a precedent set that they do not want this game tarnished. None of us
Right.
want to see this.
No.
But you got to pay the price. You do this, you're going to pay the price.
Do the
It's very sad.
time if you do the crime.
That's for sure. We had a nice historic note. The White Sox record a first ever, get this, Doctor, 9-3-2-6-2-5 triple play.
Oh.
And if you've seen this, there's some couple little rundowns in there too. And we posted that on the Fast Pitch page for anybody who wants to see that. If you're a Rangers fan, you have to be shaking your head saying unbelievable.
Yes, our great listener Jeff Hamilton was certainly disappointed because
Yes.
you saw that play. It looked like somebody a couple times the ball might be overthrown, but
Oh, no.
they played it.
And then it ended with Prince Fielder trying to score, and but he got caught in that
Yes.
rundown. So, yeah, not good news for the Rangers there, but beautiful. Triple play is always a thing of beauty.
Oh,
Definitely,
yes,
definitely.
yes.
They had the bases loaded, nobody out, so that's
That's a rally killer right
very
there.
sad if you're a Rangers fan, but for my White Sox, it was good to see. Just a couple other notes. One of the top pitching prospects in baseball, Blake Snell, of the Tampa Rays, made his debut as we record this. 5 innings, 1 run, 6 Ks. Regardless, he was being taken out in 5 innings. Do you agree with that?
In that case, I do. I do.
If he had a no-hitter, what would you have
Boy,
done?
if he had a no-hitter, leave him in. To me, there's no question about that.
So he was on a 5-inning limit. If you're the manager of the Tampa Rays and you're just sitting there and you're like 5-inning limit, he's got no hitter. Obviously, we know what Joe Madden would do.
Joe Madden, leave him in.
GM
Yes.
be damned. But what are you going to do if they tell you, hey, this is a young top pitching prospect in the game. He arguably could be the future ace. We telling you 5 innings is, and then supposedly he's supposed to be sent down to AAA.
Yes, he is
a little
being
baffling.
sent down.
That's baffling too.
Let's go back to the Ross Stripling game, and I have, for the most part, verified those orders come from
Yeah.
General Manager Fareed Zaidi.
You
So
wanna
it was
stay a
taken out of
manager,
Dave Roberts' hands.
and it's pretty much probably out of his hands as well. Now, obviously, there was no hitter there. You gave up a run, but that's what you're dealing with. So when the fans are saying, "Hey, you got to leave him in there," we're not the manager of these teams.
No.
And they're. I believe, and it's probably safe to say, if you get a chance to talk to Dave Roberts, you'll confirm this. It's probably safe to say if it was up to Dave Roberts, he probably would have.
I'm going to find out. I believe that, but I'll talk to Dave. I'll be in Los Angeles on assignment for MLB Radio
Yeah,
next
that's gonna
week,
be
and
coming up,
I'm
yeah.
looking forward to talking to Dave.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing if you get even a secondhand comments, we will trust you. That we
Also,
remain.
for our listeners, I will be doing interviews for this show, MLB, Fast Pitch MLB.
Nice.
And if
Cat out of the bag, right?
before I go, if anyone wants to message me, if you have a request on who to talk with, obviously people like Kershaw you want to hear from, but some of the other Dodgers, Corey Seager, Jock Peterson, maybe Adrian Gonzalez, let me know and I will talk with
What
them.
about all players I've had on my Fast Pitch Fantasy League team?
Well,
What about the teams they're facing? Do you have an itinerary of?
yeah, they'll be
some of the
facing
teams?
the Braves, I believe, and the Cardinals, and I think the Padres.
Okay, so all of you great fans, there's other fans of these other teams as well. If the doctor can somehow, get some questions for those other teams, you heard it here first. The doctor will do his best, and you may hear them on a Fast Pitch.
Absolutely, and I'll be there all week. Then I'll be coming to Arizona and covering Diamondbacks games. So it's kind of nice, MC, to be able to work for MLB Radio and continue to do our show with their support. So,
The MLB gives you that private jet, right, that you just travel between states to?
well, they offered one, but I said I wanted one with just one seat, and right now they only have Learjets with 4 seats. So
Okay.
they're going to create one for me, I
Okay,
believe.
yeah, it should be like the Dr. Air Force One. Or
Yes,
something like
yes.
that. Okay, all right.
As well deserved, I believe.
Yeah, with a big picture of your face on the side of it. Our final topic of note here is we're going to go back to that question from Danny D. And Doctor, you had an example you wanted to give about this netting, and you said this has been done before.
Most definitely. And in Japan, which Japan MC, you always criticize me about my support for Japanese baseball. However, I think you're going to like this.
Yeah, let's hear that.
They have extended the netting all the way down the first and third base lines and home plate, of
All
course.
the way to the foul poles?
All the way to the foul poles.
Interesting.
And I saw an interview with the commissioner of Japanese baseball, and he flat said, "We do not want any fans injured at baseball games."
Is that extending
period.
from like the upper deck down, or is that like...
No, it goes up. I believe it's about 15 to 18 feet. But here's another interesting thing they do in Japan.
Yeah, let's hear this
In
one.
front of the regular bleachers, they have a section down the first base line and a section down the third base line. They're called the Excite sections. Fans can pay extra to sit in these. There's about 30 seats in each of these sections. They are issued a glove and a helmet.
A helmet?
Yes.
A full,
yes.
like, warrior helmet, or like, what are they wearing?
It's a little bit more safe than a batter's helmet. But I'll tell you, I saw the other day, I was watching a
Darth
game
Vader?
from Japan. Not that bad.
Okay.
Watching a game from Japan, and those fans love sitting in those Excite seats. They're always, all 60 seats are sold out, and there's a big demand for those seats because, let's face it, they call it the Excite section.
Now, are they banned from using their phones in these sections? Or
Yes.
what's going
You know,
on?
they might, because I was watching the game. I didn't
that
see
out.
anyone on the phone. I didn't see anyone reading a book or any of that nonsense. But the Japanese fans, I don't know if you've been able to watch much baseball from Japan. As you know, a few years ago, I was the Team Japan English announcer. Those Japanese fans get excited. More, well, I won't say more than the fans here in America, but for example, go to a Padres game sometime, and I'm not knocking Padres fans. We have some that are listeners,
You are
but
a Dodger fan, though.
well, go to a game in San Diego, and you're going to see the most laid-back fans in the world, and they don't get that excited. But I think that's a San Diego state of mind.
Let me ask you something. Do the Japanese baseball fans, do they arrive late and leave early, like the ones at Chavez Ravine?
From what I've seen, and from the games I announced a few years ago, the Japanese fans are there lined up when the gates open.
Probably a little more
But
respectful.
see, there's no parking issues over there like there is at Dodger
Not
Stadium. I
Hollywood.
understand why
Not
people come in the
Hollywood
third and
either.
leave in the seventh.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So let's get on to the topic at hand, Doc. So, are you in favor of that Japanese type of netting if it's cleverly done like that, or you just said, hey, this is a free for all. If you get hit by a baseball, it's your own fault?
No, I am in favor of that, most definitely. But all the injuries we've seen, especially the last 3 years, it's gotten, I don't want to say it's gotten out of hand, but it's bad. Now, one other thing I want to point out. While Major League Baseball has hesitated to add that netting down the lines, look at the dugout next time you're watching a game. Okay. There is protective netting all the way in front of the dugout, so the players aren't going to get hit with a foul ball or a broken bat, but the fans may.
So I think that's probably a little bit of a, like, you know, if you're going to protect the players, which they should be protected,
yes.
So I agree, then you need to protect your fans. These are the ones who are paying
most definitely
the money to get in there. Then, you know, I think whatever they could do that, and I know you've mentioned it in the past, that doesn't obstruct any viewing.
Right.
You know, I don't think it's like chain link or anything.
No, let me interject here again. Japanese baseball, the netting they have is state of the art, and you can't even tell there's any obstructed view. It looks just like a blank veil that you see right through.
So
you
you're
can't even
saying
see the
Major
nets.
League Baseball can learn something from this?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Probably smart to say. So I mean, you have the experience of seeing this and having the knowledge on this. Danny D, that might be something that maybe Major League Baseball should to look into and maybe copy and mimic what Japanese baseball
right.
is doing.
As you and I have talked about, Commissioner Manfred is really out in front on many of these issues. So I can't imagine that he would object to that sort of
Well, if
thing.
you listen to the fast pitch, you would have an inside.
Well, we definitely
clue to
need
look
to
into the
get a
Japanese
message
baseball.
to him, because I think Commissioner Manfred does listen to our show, and I think he gets ideas
I
from
think
us.
you need to definitely have a talk with him when you get a chance and bring that up to him.
When I go to New York to cover Yankees games this year, I'll make an appointment
There you
with
go.
him.
So we're winding things up for this part of our show, Doctor. We're going to go ahead to our second and final station break. So when we return, we got some great things lined up. We got This Day in Baseball, which is always chock full of great historical information for you great fans, and we're going to also finish the show with the Fast Pitch Fantasy League in our hot and cold segment. So
Popular segment.
some great stuff coming up, fans, so stay tuned with us. We're going to take our final station break, and
We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Best Station, the best music for the best audience. Find us at our home, www.thebeststation.net.
San Francisco would get to Scott Kazmir right away. Here's Joe Panic with the man on second.
Chopped up the middle. Utley can't get it. Here comes Span. And the Giants lead 1-0. My goodness. But Utley was playing Panic cold. So we go far back to his right side and hit a dime for him. And he tries to Hernandez is out the ball.
Another start, a brand new day. You know I'll change if change is what you require. Every wish, your every dream, hope, desire. Here comes the mirror man. Says he's a people fan. Here comes the mirror man.
You know, you're not really hitting off our best guy.
What do you mean? He's throwing gas.
Polish is much better.
And we are back on the Fast Pitch Game 20. Dr. Baseball in the house here. I'm MC Brown, and we're going to wrap the final third of our show up here, Doctor, with some
And
good stuff.
Final third of our show has become one of the most popular segments.
Yes.
The feedback I get, people love this segment.
That's awesome, and we're going to get right into one of them here, Doctor. This Day in Baseball. So we're going to take it away with the familiar musical sounds. And as the Doctor dances his life away here.
You ever see me bust a move like that before, MC?
That is a shocker. Keep myself from laughing hysterically, but
Yeah, I could be on Dancing with the Stars.
we're going to take this one all the way back, Doctor. We got some good stuff here for this day. in
Always
baseball.
do, always do. And again, this is a popular segment with people. And it's so often a certain date ties into a certain player. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, we have some good stuff that, taking the stuff back in time, we have some historical things. This one, we're going all the way back to April 23rd. Shout out to my father,
Ah,
who was
yes.
also born on this day.
And happy birthday. I want to say happy birthday to MC Brown's father.
So FD, happy birthday. It's the initials there.
Yes.
That's where we all do it here. So we're going all the way back, of course, to April 23rd, 1902. And this was just a couple debuts, so we're just going to, I don't want to gloss over this, but the first Colombian-born player, Luis Castro, played second base for the Philadelphia A's and makes his debut. So that was all the way back in 1902.
A Colombian player.
Yes. And we also had, I don't want to skip a date, but we'll just, another debut of the first Venezuelan-born player. Senators right-hander Alejandro Carrasquel faces the Yankees in his major league debut, and as 26-year-old becomes the first player from Venezuela to play in a major league baseball.
And what
game.
year was that?
That was 1939.
1930. I wonder if that's the Chico Carrasquel that pitched. I believe he pitched in that same era. It's got to be the same guy.
If not, they might be related. But yeah, those are two debuts, so that's a pretty cool historical date, and all the way back on April 23rd, which is the date we're using here. Just kind of rewind a little bit, 1924. This was on WMAQ. Hal Hal Toten, a Chicago Daily News play-by-play reporter, does a play-by-play radio report of the 12-1 Cubs victory over the Cardinals. It will be the first broadcast of every Cub and White Sox home game of the season, marking the first time a team's games have been on the airwaves on a regular basis.
Yeah,
You've done a lot of radio, so that's big historical news for Chicago.
You know, back then there was no TV. People sat by the radio and listened.
And it was very huge of that radio broadcaster to tell the story that he is in front of him.
Right.
So that's very huge in that. So yeah, awesome news there. Fast forwarding, Doctor, 1952 giant hurler Hoyt Wilhelm homers in his first major league at bat. Get this, Doctor, in his second big league appearance at the plate 2 days later, he will hit a three-bagger. But during the next 21 years, covering a span of 1,070 games, the knuckleballing hurler will never triple or homer again. Can you believe that? Only in baseball could that happen.
Only in baseball, and that's kind of. I'm going to give a shout out to Jeff Hamilton, our listener, who stumped us a few weeks ago with that question: what Hall of Famer homered in his first at bat?
Yes, and there it was. Yes, astute.
Let me just mention one last
stumped us with that one. So there it is.
One last thing about Wilhelm is 1,070 games. He's one of the only people I know of, besides Dennis Eckersley, pitched a no-hitter as a starter in his second year and became a closer the rest of his career and made the Hall of Fame.
Yes, definitely. There's been a few great pitchers that have done that over the course of their career. So yes, there it is. Hammy's just a little bit ahead of us there.
Yes.
1954 at Busch Stadium, Hank Aaron hits the first of his 755 career home runs in his seventh major league game. The Milwaukee outfielder's sixth-inning solo round tripper is hit on a pitch thrown by Cardinal right-hander Vic Raschi in the Braves' 7-6 extra-inning victory in St. Louis. So look at that.
That's a great historical piece right there.
Listen to this one, Doctor. At 1955 now, 1 year later, at Kansas City's Municipal Stadium, the White Sox tie a modern major league mark for most runs scored by a single team in a game as they drubbed the A's 29-6. The Red Sox also scored 29 runs against the Browns in 1950.
That's like a football score.
That is insane. 29 runs, 29 hits in one era was the White Sox line there. 1958 in a 7-6 loss to Chicago at the LA Coliseum. This is for you, Doctor. Two Dodger mainstays from Brooklyn reach career milestones. First baseman Gil Hodges, who will finish his 18-year Major League tenure with 370 home runs, hits his 300th career round tripper, and Captain Pee Wee Reese, a future Hall of Fame shortstop, plays in his 2000th game.
Oh, and the same day. That's fantastic. Let me just, Gil Hodges, I must say, he belongs in the Hall of Fame, and we talked about that in the Hall of Fame show, and we'll talk about it again in the future.
Yeah, there's some players that's just a travesty they're not in there. Fast forwarding, Doctor, 1964 at Colt Stadium, Ken Johnson becomes the first pitcher to lose, listen to this, a 9-inning no-hitter, speaking of our great no-hitters, when the Reds beat the Colt 45s 1-0. Pete Rose, who attempting to bunt, reaches second on a throwing error by the pitcher, scores the game's lone run in the top of the ninth inning when Nellie Fox boots Veda Pinson's two-out ground ball to second base. So look at that there.
Can you imagine being that pitcher, losing a no-hitter? Let me just mention one of the factors in that game might have been Colt Stadium. I think we talked before. You and I talked off the air.
Yeah.
I was at Colt Stadium years ago, and the place is mosquito-ridden. It's hot. So they played there until they got the Astrodome.
Yeah, Colt 45s, not a lot of good news around there in this days in baseball here. 1969, a 10-inning complete game pitching duel that includes Detroit's Denny McLain retiring 21 straight batters and Baltimore's Mike Cuellar, yes, getting 20 consecutive hitters is won by Cuellar and the Orioles 3-2 when Mark Bellinger single plates Ellie Hendricks, who had doubled to start the final frame, snapping the Tigers' right-hander streak. At season's end, both stars will share the Cy Young Award when the Writer's Choice for the prestigious honor results in a tie in the ballots box.
Wow, MC, I know you don't remember this, but that Baltimore Orioles staff, 4 20-game winners, oh man, that was a great era for pitching.
Is that the last tie that has ever occurred in the Cy Young? Because I know you probably would have been hoping
last
for
tie for Cy Young. 1979, the MVP was tied, Willie Stargell and Keith Hernandez, but no Cy Young ties.
So you mentioned Keith Hernandez, a little
Yeah.
for him later. 1978, Joe Morgan's Major League record streak of 91 consecutive errorless games for a second baseman comes to an end. The Reds' infielder's errant toss during a second inning rundown is the first error he has committed since July 6, 1977.
That's pretty amazing.
That is amazing. Bad way to end. Fast forward in 1999, Fernando Tatis becomes the only player in Major League history to hit 2 grand slams in the same game in one inning. The Cardinal third baseman hits both off Dodger starter Chan-Ho Park in an 11-run third, setting the Major League mark. The third baseman's 8 RBIs is in one inning. Also breaks the old record of 6. That is insane to get that in one inning. In one game.
Yeah, and let me mention something there. Chan-Ho Park is pitching. He gives up a grand slam. Gives up a few other runs, and they leave him in to give up another grand slam in the same inning.
Yeah, I don't.
Obviously,
nowadays they just pull him.
Yeah, obviously no pitch count then.
Yeah, right. 2000 and 10-7 victory over the Blue Jays. Yankees, Bernie Williams and Jorge Posada become the first teammates to have each homered from both sides of the plate in the same game. Felipe Lopez and Tony Clark will become the second pair of teammates to accomplish the feat when each homered from both sides of the plate on opening day for the Diamondbacks 9 years later in 2009. Right. That's pretty crazy. 2000, the Dodgers sweep the Reds to notch their 1,000th win as a franchise over the Reds, baseball's oldest franchise. Since 1970, the Los Angeles is the only National League franchise to play over 500 ball, 120 and 115, and Cincinnati. So a lot of teams aren't too successful in Cincinnati.
Only team to play over 500 ball. Wow, the Dodgers. Chuck Boyer is listening. I know. Maybe that will open your eyes about the Dodgers. Chuck?
Yeah, Chuck, what do you think about that? Speaking of Keith Hernandez, 2006, Keith is reprimanded by Sportsnet New York, the Mets television network, for comments made the previous night about the female in full uniform sitting in the Padres dugout, spotting Kelly Calabrese, the Padres' full-time massage therapist. The Mets broadcaster remarked, "Women don't belong in the dugout," and apologized for his insensitive comments during the telecast. Foot in mouth moment for Keith there.
Yes, and you know what? That was not the first foot in mouth moment. In future shows, I'm going to bring up some things Keith did as a player.
Oh, yeah, we look forward to that one. We got a couple more here, doctors, so don't get restless.
A massage therapist in the dugout. Wow.
Full uniform, though.
That's something.
Just baffled Keith for some reason. Keith, don't worry about it. 2008, joining the Giants, the Cubs become the second franchise in Major League history to win 10,000 games. That was a game where they beat the Rockies in a 10-inning contest. The Cubs at that point in time, 10,000 and 9,465 is their all-time one-loss.
Well, at least they were over 500.
122 years of existence in Windy City. That was, that wasn't too bad there. Speaking of milestones too. Look at this one. 2013, Atlanta teammates Justin and B.J. Upton both hit home runs in the Braves' 10-2 rout of Colorado at Coors, marking the 27th occurrence in Major League history that brothers have homered in the same game. But it's only the second time it has been accomplished in consecutive at-bats since 1938, when Lloyd and Paul Wainer went back-to-back for the Pirates.
You know, that's an interesting...
That's amazing that has even happened in the same game and the same team, let alone
27
teammates.
times.
Yes. That is crazy. And the last one here, Doctor, only a few years back, just a couple years back, 2014, we all remember this one. Speaking of black marks on the game, 2014, Michael Pineda, due to his effort to get a better grip on the baseball on a cool spring night at Fenway Park, will be ejected in the second inning for using pine tar after trying to conceal the foreign substance on his neck. Evidently, he has not heard of HD.
Yes.
The Yankees right-hander will get a 10-day suspension for using the sticky material, which is usually overlooked by opponents when used in a discreet manner, since it does not affect the flight of the ball. So this was clearly on his neck. I don't know how he thought he could hide it even, but yeah, it was blatantly obvious that he's got a big black smear on his neck.
I remember you and I talking about it at the time.
Yeah, that was very comedic. So a lot of great ones, and we try to keep stuff lighthearted so we can laugh and stuff like that.
If you can't have fun doing baseball shows, then you shouldn't do them.
No, and we want to thank nationalpastime.com for the great historical facts, and we want to urge you all to visit that site as well. We can't give week-by-week ones. That's just a day we have either recording or picked out, and those were the best stories that we had.
And again, nationalpastime.com.
So
visit that site.
Huge thank you to them. And we're going to get right here down to business, Doctor. Fast Pitch Fantasy League time here. You ready?
Yes, I am. And you
yeah.
know what? Again, becoming a very popular segment.
Oh yeah, so and we had some feedback too. One of the great thank some great fans for it as well. Specifically, who we had last show, a Zoolander 457 wants a hot and cold. We're giving them hot cold. So just real quick, just to track some of the teams, myself and your teams, both 1-1 in an actual fast pitch fantasy league. Our great prize winner Zachary L is also 1-1.
Zachary L, yes.
Tony, a great groundskeeper for Surprise Stadium. Hopefully Tony listens to our show from time to time.
I'm facing Tony this
he's
week.
He's 2-0, but he might be on the rocks. The doctor might have his number this week.
I'm trying.
And we're trying
Jake
to give...
Arrieta helped me.
He did, and that's one of the names of many we're going to give you guys, and some of these you may not be able to get because they're already off the hook, but hopefully we can help you out in your league if some of these guys could be available. So we're going to go to basically... Hot and cold is our segment here, folks, where we kind of look at fantasy-wise who's really doing the best and worst in the game, and we're going to do the hots first. Doctor, just a couple names up top of your head. Who do you want to give for this one?
For hot or cold?
Hot. Let's do some hots.
Dexter Fowler.
Dexter Fowler, a man picked up by the doctor during the show, as we recorded a show 2 shows ago. The doctor was wheeling and dealing, not paying attention, and swooped in and taken Dexter Fowler.
Oh, that's called multitasking.
Congratulations to you. But anybody on the Chicago Cubs, may I add, is probably a good bet.
I know, definitely.
Zachary L has Jason Hayward, and he's in our league specific now, is mulling dropping him. But I would say that any Chicago Cub is probably going to get you some points because the team is on fire right now.
Ben Zobrist is on my team, and I'm very happy with his performance.
Ben Zobrist, Chris Bryant, obviously with his grand slam, 2 home run day. During that, Jake Arrieta. Speaking of him, he's another great one. Any of the Cubs right now are just all cylinders. I mean, and if there is a guy who might be available, I suggest that you take a
snap him up.
Look at him. Russell is struggling. When we get to colds, we'll do that. But most of the Cubs teams are good bets. Another guy too who's starting to heat up, Mike Trout.
Mike Trout, and let me just mention. People were down on him the first couple weeks of the season. What was he hitting? 231. All of a sudden, he's back to 300 and doing Trout-like performances.
Yeah.
Mike Trout is not going to be kept down. So
Trout is really starting to heat up, definitely for sure. And that's another one that Tony has, a great opponent here. Just to throw some other names out there, Jared Saltalamacchia, one of the top catchers. We don't know because this is the thing. Like, he's doing so well that maybe James McCann may not get his job back, or will he lose some at bats and share them with McCann? And is he a risky pick when McCann comes back? Maybe, but I would say you might want to grab him while he's available.
Maybe, but it's possible they can throw one of those guys into the DH role and they can switch off catcher.
That's an excellent point. Obviously, JD Martinez plays right, but they have Victor Martinez.
That's right.
So that might be tough. But Jared Saltalamacchia, at least temporarily, if you have a catcher on the DL, might be a good bet.
Yeah, when he's hot, you got to grab him.
Yeah, Salvatore Perez, one that the doctor himself has, is actually on fire right now.
Yes.
One where he's probably more valuable than even Buster Posey, too, right now. Yeah. Matt Latos, can you imagine this? This is a pitcher the doctor has razzed. They're saying he wasn't worth a bag of baseballs.
That's right.
Paid $3 million by the White Sox. Already has 3 wins, 3-0.
And $3 million is a bargain.
It is a bargain base because no pitchers, a starting pitcher, you cannot get for that unless he's a foul reach. And the White Sox probably felt like this was a guy Don Cooper could turn around, and lo and behold, 3-0.
I was going to ask you, Don Cooper, the White Sox pitching coach?
Yes.
Okay, he must have done something to help Latos, because last year, if anyone remembers, Latos started with the Reds, traded to the Dodgers at the deadline, pitched, I think, 3 or 4 games with the Dodgers, released, signed by the Angels, released. So I thought the guy was out of baseball.
Signed by the White Sox, $3 million, 3-0 already. So
what a great move by the Sox.
It was a great move by the White Sox. Most of their moves were done to bolster their offense, and Brett Lawrie, Todd Frazier, Austin Jackson playing center field. But
this one was definitely under the radar, yes.
Yeah, definitely. Great move by the Sox so far. Some other great hitters starting to heat up pretty good. George Springer turning around for the Houston Astros, starting to hit some dingers. Colby Rasmus has stayed solid all year for them, both of them. I think Correa, too, is doing his usual stuff.
Yes.
Most of those guys probably going to be taken, but Rasmus might be available. Like Saltalamacchia, you might want to take a chance, maybe 50% owned.
Yeah, and you don't have to keep him. If they don't do well, you make a move.
You can pick them up for one day and release them.
Right.
I have done that.
Because MC is the king of doing that.
Trying to find my team, Doctor. Jordan Zimmerman off to an awesome start. Zachary L owns this pitcher in our league, and if you took him, be very happy because he's off to a great start with the
He has
Detroit
not
Tigers.
given up an earned run yet.
That is unbelievable. Raking it as the National League batting leader right now is Daniel Murphy.
Daniel Murphy.
You mentioned him
and,
last show. He's still on fire.
Myself, like many other people, did not think his playoff success, his postseason success, would carry over this year.
No, he certainly is earning his keep for the Washington Nationals right now. And Mike Moustakas, pretty solid option right now with Kansas City at third. He was one that helped me release the grip I had on Tyler White of the Houston Astros, who, as we segue into some of the cold, White strikeout machine right now is starting to cool down. I replaced him with Moustakas. He's just one of many names. Adam Wainwright not off to a great start.
And he was anticipated to really come back this year.
He was dropped by Zachary L. as well.
One of the reasons the Cardinals are where they are.
Another guy in our league, specifically great listener, Hammy, Jeff Hamilton.
Jeff Hamilton.
Released today Chris Archer. So if you have him, I don't know if I would release him because he's a pretty good pitcher still, but Hammy did. He's desperate. He's on the verge of going 0-3 if he loses to myself. So desperate times call for desperate measures.
Yes,
but you also released Troy Tulowitzki, so some people would call you crazy for doing it.
Well, I did, and I just had to. I grabbed a rookie, Eugenio Suarez, red shortstop.
I don't suggest maybe dropping these guys in your league. Depending how deep they are, you're not going to be able to get them back. We're an 8-team league with a unique scoring system, but Chris Archer, that's a kind of surprising one, too low too. But if you have other options and it's possible to do that, Tulo is still available in our league, believe it or not. But we have very limited spots. There's really not much of a bench in our league.
Yes.
We have all utility with no bench. Other shortstops struggling. Addison Russell with the Cubs. He actually was the only Cub to not get a hit in that 16-0 short.
Oh my goodness!
I think he went 0
wow,
for 5.
Well, it's something to be remembered for.
Yeah, that might be a trivia question. Jose Abreu definitely scuffling really bad. I'm not like the doctor to drop him or Hammy to drop one of my star pitchers. But I am not happy with him, and if you own him in your league, you're probably not happy either. He's got a few bombs, but strikeouts galore with this guy. Jose just not his usual self this early in the season, and going across to the north side, Jason Hayward not doing.
Boy, and a lot of money they paid him. He has yet to produce.
Yeah, under 200. I mean, defensively he's solid and stuff, but a lot of money thrown at him. Just his presence there. If maybe the Cubs will justify that being worth it, but he's not. he's not Kane like Abreu, for example, but he's also not doing what the Cubs are paying him to do.
No, I saw the Cubs. I guess it was 2 weeks ago. I was at a Cubs game, and Hayward outstanding defensively, but like you said, they need his bat. That's why they got him.
Yeah, that's why he's there. But thankfully, they're so deep, the Cubs, and that's why we mentioned taking any Cubs hitters you can snag because they're so deep, and there are RBI opportunities and run scoring opportunities galore, especially in fantasy league.
Oh yes,
you want to look at these guys, and just. How long do you wait, though? That was the main question. We're going to looking at both hot and colds. Doctor, how long do you wait on a player that is struggling? So you obviously didn't wait long with a star shortstop, but he's still batting pretty bad for the Toronto Blue Jays.
He homered opening day and hasn't done much since.
And he may have cost you that first week.
He may have. I remember during our draft, I had my pre-draft list. I had my sights set on Corey Seager of the Dodgers, and somebody came and snapped him up before I had a chance.
I wonder who that jerk was.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, but you can't stay married to a player because there's so many guys you can draft in this. But here's the thing: I was looking at my team in draft the other day, Doctor. There's like 4 or 5 guys in the top 10 rounds that are no longer on my team. So it's like I took chances and took stabs at guys, and they didn't pay off, and I didn't hang on to them. I took I'm not thinking, hey, I used this pick, I have to keep them. I want to recycle my team and turn duds into studs, and I'm going to take those spots and I'm going to take those and try. And this is what I suggest a lot of people do. Don't wait till it's too late. If you can rototill your team, if you're struggling, you look at how your team is scoring and what's those guys on the top of the free agent list may not be there the next time you're mulling it over, and you have to look at that and act quickly sometimes.
That's right, and this addresses something that everyone needs to think of in fantasy baseball, and that's your strategy, overall strategy. Now, MC, you and I have played in the same league. This is our 3rd year together. Your strategy has always been get those players that are hot, recycle your players. I have taken a different approach. I try and hang on to guys, and I'll make a few moves, but my basic lineup I try to keep.
Yeah, and I have the guy. I mean, in a unique league like ourselves, where we have a few utility spots but no bench, those guys are crucial spots that if they're not producing, you got to get somebody in. It's not like I can throw somebody off the bench. I have no bench. It's just these players, and that's it. I need to get a good player producing in there. And sometimes they go hot and cold, and that's the thing with Abreu. I'm not going to release an Abreu. I believe he's going to turn it around, and Tulowitzki may as well.
Right.
But do you wait too long, and this is their dud season, and then you're just going to stay in the hole? You're going to go down with that ship.
Remember, Chris Davis like 3 years ago had that dud season after hitting over 50 home runs.
And I acquired him hoping he'd turn around. He just never did it. Same thing. Kipnis struggled that year as well. And there's just like Chu, I think I had the year after following a really good fantasy. He was a fantasy darling, but the next year he was a dud.
Well, and here's...
You can't ride him down because he will take your whole team down.
Right, and here's the point I'm making about strategies. I tend to be someone who hangs on to a guy thinking, hey, he's produced in the past, he's going to turn it around. Chris Davis, for example. They'll go a whole season and drag you down with them.
They may well do that, and we both have our ideas in that, and we both have won fantasy leagues, but look at your league, look at your setup, look what's most valuable to your team. Pitching is not as crucial to the fast pitch fantasy league, but in your league you might get a lot more points from him. But still, a guy like Jake Arrieta, if you are lucky enough to have drafted him, he's going to get you a ton of points with the no-hitter he just had. And look for those guys in there. The fantasy, like I took pitchers a little bit later. I rolled the dice on Kenta Maeda.
Right. Yeah, that was a good pick.
Gio Gonzalez, even though Dusty started him in this, going into the second week, I hung on to him. I dropped him but picked him right back up, and he's off to a great start as well. Carlos Rodon has struggled for the White Sox, but Jose Quintana is off to a great start.
Yes,
so rolling the dice on the second and third pitchers, because I wasn't going to get Chris Sale if I'm drafting hitting, actually hasn't proven that bad, because Quintana for sure. I don't know about Rodon yet. It's still early.
I was very fortunate in our draft. I was able to get Arrieta and Dallas Keuchel.
It's an interesting strategy. Depends on your league, and we both went pitching early and suffered in certain position players. You can't get them all, but that's why it's so crucial to look at your team makeup, that if that guy's struggling, you may have to get rid of him to help your offense.
Right then.
Always a free agent available that could change your team offensively if you're on the pulse of it.
Let me just mention Carlos Gonzalez last year.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Huge pick up there. And and arguably, if he's going to stay healthy right now, he's off to a great start as well.
He is.
To mention some of the colds, Trevor Story still, I believe, he's at 8 home runs, but when we recorded the show, he only had 7. So it was fan of the week.
He's hit 1.
Yeah, he's hit 1. So I don't want to say he's not in droppable levels, but definitely keep your eye on him. I have Trevor Story myself, and it's like you have to look at it. He's going to strike out a ton at this stage in his baseball career. Can you withstand strikeouts depending on how negatives work, if you have negatives in your league? Because right now he's not hitting a 7 home run a week pace anymore. So
no, let me just mention, this is one of the reasons you have to be watching Major League Baseball, not just doing the fantasy, because once Story makes his round around the league and everyone's seen him, pitchers will know how to pitch him. They share information, and it'll be a different Trevor Story possibly.
Yeah, exactly. And arguably, and I said this last show, some of the pitchers like using in Arrieta, for example, when the Cubs face the Rockies, they're going to take it upon themselves to get that tough rookie out.
Right.
And they're going to they're going to humble him, because they're not going to throw anything less than their best stuff at this kid, because they want to get him out.
Right.
Like, they want those highlights of him swinging and missing. Like, hey, there's Trevor Story again. They don't want to be on that highlight reel when, definitely Jake Arrieta didn't want to be seen giving up another home run to this rookie. So he made short work of him in three of the, I think, 4 at-bats he had.
Right. And a pitcher like Arrieta is going to figure out which pitch he gets, which his out pitch is on Story, and that will circulate around the league, and other pitchers will do it. That's why you'll see rookies early in the season. Jock Peterson last year, a good example.
Peterson
second half
27 home runs, didn't he?
Yeah, 26. And I wouldn't be surprised if 20 of them were before the All-Star break.
And that's true, and that's a perfect example. Like, look at what he did, finished with a lot of strikeouts.
Yes.
Not quite 200, but he was up there.
He was up there.
Yeah, certainly. I'm a big on taking a stab at young players. I may not hang on to them very long, but one of those guys, if they take off and they stay solid, roll the dice on a few. Don't make it your whole team, because you're going to probably be in trouble when these guys slump.
Right.
They may never recover, but take a chance on some of these young
couple,
players.
Yeah,
because it might help save your season. And Doctor, we're running out of time here as we wind it up. We just want to acknowledge some unfortunate passings of great musical star Prince this past week.
Very sad. He died at 57, way too young.
Yeah, and in the WWE world, one of the revolutionary wrestlers of our day and age of women's wrestlers, Chyna, had passed away at 45. So a couple big losses, and I know a lot of our fan bases are in touch with a lot of the cultural icons of our day and age.
Right, and a lot of our fan base are wrestling fans and definitely music
fans. Craig Best too. Hopefully, we'll be playing a close song from
Yes.
the Great Prince, and we count on the opening and closing from the Great Prince. So we want to thank you all for listening, and definitely thank Craig Best as well. As can always, he's could be reached at facebook.com/The Best Station. Archive shows www.thebeststation.net. Thank Craig personally for archiving our shows, holding our shows there so you can listen to anyone you want to in the past. And as always, any feedback, suggestion at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, facebook.com/The Fast Pitch. We're always going to try to put some new news in there to get you guys talking, interacting. Me and the doctor love to hear from you guys.
Yes, we do. Let me go back to the Best Station for a second.
Yeah.
We know a lot of our fans are music fans. Craig Best has a music show on there, too.
Yes.
So tap into that and listen. You'll enjoy it.
Yes, so any of those, definitely, and give Craig some feedback, too. He's got a Facebook page. So we welcome it and encourage it. So we want to thank you all for listening. Definitely, it's been a great show, Doctor. And,
Yes, it has.
As always, I'm MC Brown.
I am Eric Lenneberg.
I want to thank you for listening to the Fast Pitch.
And
Game
fans,
20.
have a pleasant week wherever you may be.
Go on. Get your best station on.